about my essay. The prompt was the world I would like to live in. My thesis was that the world that I want to live in is a world where the earth and those that call it home no longer suffer. I wrote that our main attention should be directed towards eliminating violence, poverty, and environmental abuse, so that one day we may achieve this lasting harmony. Obviously, I couldn't hit every issue that causes suffering in the essay, so I chose those three major ones: violence, poverty, and environmental abuse, and I split up the essay accordingly. I wrote what had to be done and how we had to do it, but I'm fairly sure that the government and major corporations and all of you are already familiar with these tactics. I mean, you guys know that it's beneficial to donate time and effort to charitable to charitable organizations, and to donate money, and to reduce our carbon footprint. This is common knowledge. So I'm not going to talk about these practical approaches too much. If you want to hear about them, you can read my essay. Instead, for the 5 minutes that I have up here, I'd like to make everyone think a little bit about what it would take to encourage people to follow through with these practical approaches that I just talked about. Now, I'm talking about a little bit of metacognition. That means to think about your thinking. What ideologies, for the lack of a better word, must we allow ourselves to take part in? The Dalai Lama said that we will be able to develop compassion towards others only when we realize that everyone is the same in having the wish to avoid pain and suffering. Okay, so is it compassion? That makes a lot of sense to me. To take it one step further, maybe it's empathy that we need. The ability to understand and share the feelings of another human. So there are these things called commonality practices, and they can really aid in developing this compassion and empathy. It's when you look for the things that are common in both you and the person's lives, the person that's suffering. You realize that just like us, these people seek happiness. They try to avoid suffering. They've known sadness and they've known loneliness, and they learn about life every day. We're all the same. We're all humans. That's what we strive to realize. So we are joined today, generation in generation. And well, I've been doing a lot of reading lately, and I'm sure everybody's heard of Ernest Hemingway. I've been reading a lot of Hemingway, and he has this one famous book called The Sun Also Rises. Now, it was named so after a verse in the Old Testament which compared generations to the sun. Both rise and both set. It is the optimism for success in the rising sun that gave Hemingway hope. Of course, Hemingway wasn't exactly the optimist. He thought of his own generation as a lost one, a lost generation. To me, a generation is only lost if they fail to add to humanity. And I think that should be every generation's goal, to add to humanity by leaving it a better place than you found it. And I know that's going to be like a topic of discussion later on in the evening, the world we want to leave behind. There's also this astrophysicist that I really like. His name is Neil deGrasse Tyson, and probably a lot of you know Carl Sagan. This is like the modern day Carl Sagan. As an academic and big thinker that he is, he's often faced with the question, what is the meaning of life? And so he has his opinion. It's not necessarily the right one. I like it. Everybody has the right to their own. But he goes on to explain that for him, the meaning isn't something that you search for. And oh, there it was. It was under a rock. There's the meaning. No. Meaning is something you create. Meaning is an eternal act of enriching your life and perhaps even better, finding ways that you can enrich the lives of others. And I think that's the best part. The idea that being compassionate, being inclined to reduce the suffering of others, is just a part of life. Anyways, I guess I just want to encourage everybody to live compassionately. And so yeah, the world that I want to live in is a world where people are compassionate and where people care. Thank you.